Well, there's a lot of folks being arrested in Russia for protesting the war. It's hard to know for sure how many, but several videos online show people being carried away by officers and police demanding to see protesters' phones. We'll show you the video in a minute. With that, we bring in Dmitri Alperovitch, who's previously served as an advisor to the Department of Defense. Good to see you, my friend. Thank you. Back to Robert Sherman's reporting. We all know that a no-fly zone isn't going to happen because of the idea that you're going to have U.S. and Russian pilots flying against each other. There's been this shiny object put out there of, oh, somehow the Poles are going to give the Ukrainians MiG fighters that were left over from the Soviet era to be flown by Ukrainian pilots, and then the U.S. is going to give the Poles F-16s, and everybody's going to be happy, and suddenly the Ukrainian Air Force is going to take over the skies. Is that realistic?
I just don't understand why people keep talking about this. I think there are a range of problems with it. First of all, MiG-29s are an air superiority fighter. They're designed to shoot down Russian planes. There are much better ways to shoot down Russian planes with air defense systems that we could be providing to the Ukrainians, the old Soviet systems like the S-300s and the SA-6 SAM batteries that the Poles and the Bulgarians still have, that we can transfer to them, much easier to do so. And the problem with the MiG-29s is the Poles have had them for 30 years. They got another part of the shipment from Germany in 2004. They've been in NATO since 1999. I have to imagine they've upgraded those planes with modern avionics, so it's not clear to me that the Ukrainians can even fly them. And the reality is the comms equipment is going to be NATO equipment. It probably won't talk to Ukrainian equipment on the ground. So you have just a huge number of problems that you're going to face logistically in using those planes when it's much easier to shoot down Russian fighters with SAM batteries.
I'm going through this list. S-300s, SA-6s from the Bulgarians, Harpoon missiles from the United States. There's this long list of things that it seems very easy to give to the Ukrainians that would make a real difference against the Russian military. That's not happening. Why?
I think we're too focused on shiny new objects like the MiGs. And the reality is that the Russians are shooting out they're destroying the airfields that the Ukrainians would use to fly those MiGs. So pretty soon they won't have any runways to launch them from. So again, we should be focused on the basics. Small arms is what they need right now. They need more javelins. They need harpoons. They need the air defense batteries. We need to be focused on that.
There is this enormous cost that is now coming to the United States for taking on Vladimir Putin. Inflation, gas prices, billions of aid to Ukraine and to its military. Is Vladimir Putin feeling any of this cost on the other side? Are we getting any return on our investment?
Well, there's no question that the Russian economy is going down into a very deep, dark hole. Most of the U.S. companies, Western companies have pulled out of Russia, and that's actually having more impact than the sanctions. The sanctions are still fairly limited. They're severe in the places where we've put them, particularly on the financial sector. But the oil and gas sector, as you know, Leland, is mostly untouched. But yet you have Western companies like BP, like Shell, have pulled out of projects with Rosneft and with Gazprom. And the reality is that it's the unilateral decisions of Western companies that are having huge effect on Russia. And Morgan Stanley, as you know, has just put out an assessment that Russian economy may go into default as soon as April 15th.
Yeah, and the ruble is crashing in value. There's those costs. There's starting to be this protest movement inside of Russia. Those who choose to protest Vladimir Putin are putting their life on the line, literally. How secure are we to believe Putin's leadership is with a crashing economy and some estimates 1,000 soldiers dying a day in Ukraine?
Oh, I think he's feeling very insecure. Remember, he's very isolated, in part because of the COVID restrictions that he's put on himself, not seeing anyone or sitting 30 feet apart from them. And most of the people surrounding him, including his security councils, it's very clear they had no idea that he was going to launch this invasion. They don't think it's a good idea. They see the economy collapsing. They're scared what's happening to them personally and their families as the Louis Vuitton stores are leaving Russia, as the airlines have mostly left, and it's now very hard to even fly anywhere from Russia, except maybe to Middle East and places like Venezuela and Serbia. And I think that he's in real danger of not being able to survive this conflict.
Fascinating. You're the first person who, at least I ever saw, predicted this invasion, and now the fact that you're saying Putin is on the ropes is an important point. Dmitri, it's good to see you. Thank you.